Hello, it's Mr. Burden here, and this is going to be the Week 12 e-session. I found out that the live e-session that I did, I accidentally did not press the audio, so kind of a silly mistake by me, but it happens, and so I'm just re-recording this with audio. So essentially what you need to do for Week 12 is you have some new symbols right here. You have the pound sign, the ampersand, and the caret. You also have both parentheses, the left and the right, and the underscore. I thought since the last teacher, I think, did a really nice job by creating a screencast where she demonstrates exactly how to make these keystrokes. Rather than me kind of doing the exact same thing, what I did is I just have this link right here where you can just go ahead and watch how to do it. So go ahead and check that out. And excuse me. Don't forget to do this part right here, the practice library. Some students are going and doing the symbols and then turning this in, just kind of forgetting accidentally to do that part. Then you have the leaving a digital footprint, the 1 minute timing. And so when you're done with all 5 of these things, you can go ahead and turn it in just like you normally do. And the reason why I have you do the leaving a digital footprint 1 minute in length is because there's a summative time test this week, which is leaving a digital footprint but 2 minutes. So I have you do that because I figured it would be nice practice. I certainly want you to do well on these time tests, so I thought by giving you a little bit of practice with the 1 minute, hopefully that'll help set you up for success on the 2 minute one. And when you are done with the 2 minute one, you can go ahead and submit that. And then the other thing that we have this week is the MLA Report Summative. So in week 11 you did a formative, and now you're going to type a summative report in MLA format. So I'm just going to go ahead and read the directions here, and then we'll go from there. So it says, please use Google Docs or Microsoft Word to retype the attached Mr. Amazon report, not an MLA format, and put it in MLA format. The attached report is currently not in MLA format. You need to retype it in MLA format by utilizing the information from the resources. See this presentation, this e-session and this tutorial and the tutorial video that I'm providing you with, which is essentially this. And then last week's e-session as well when I went over this. And make sure your report meets all the MLA guidelines or rules by using this linked checklist right here. And you can go ahead and check that out. So this has all the things that you should look out for before you submit. So make sure you have 1-inch margins all around. You double space the entire report, and I'll kind of show you how to do that in Microsoft Word. There might be an extra step that that you don't know about as far as how to double space. Make sure you have 12 point Times New Roman, and you can go through and you can read through these things. I'll go ahead and demonstrate most of this stuff in just a minute here. And then what you're going to do is, after you do that checklist, you're going to go ahead and submit it. So if you use Words, I have directions on how to do that. If you use Google Docs, because you can use either one for this, you can go ahead and follow these instructions, and that's it. So what I would say to make sure to do is to check out the feedback that I provided you in the week 11 MLA report formative before you start this. Because I gave you feedback on that. So, your feedback may say something like, great, awesome, you're ready for the summative, or I might point out something and say, hey, you did a good job, but on the summative, make sure that you look for this, this, and this, because I definitely want to see you succeed. So one thing that I try to be really clear in the directions is when you click this right here, okay, it gives you a report, but this is not an MLA format. So essentially your objective for this week is to put it in MLA format. Some students have asked in the past, do I need to write my own brand new report? No, actually the teacher before me used to have students do that. For me, really, I'm just grading your formatting, so I don't I don't really need to see I don't need you to go do a bunch of research to do your own report. So that's why I essentially gave you a report, and you just need to put it in MLA format. It does not have all the pieces right now of MLA format. So a really good reference to go back and do that. So I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to go back into week 11, which is when the formative was. This right here is in MLA format. So I would say this would be a great thing to go ahead and have up because you're going to do all these things right here. You're just going to do it to this report, okay? So why don't, without further ado, I did in week 11, I showed how to do this in Google Docs. So this week I'm going to show how to do it in Word. So I'm going to open up Microsoft Word here. We got the blank document, open up that. So first thing that I want to do is I want to go into my header and I want to put my last name and the page number. Remember, whatever you put into your header is going to show up on every single page, okay? So there's a couple different ways you can go into your header. Let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. Okay, one, you could go into view and go into header footer, and now I'm up in my header. Another way is the header is in this margin area. You could simply just double click there, and I'm going to do that. So now next I'm going to go to my home tab. It has to be right aligned, so I'm going to right align that. I'm going to type my last name. And then if I were to just put 1, because this is page number 1, basically on every single page, it's now going to show up as burden 1, burden 1, burden 1, which is not what you want. You want it to switch by page number. So what you do is you go to Insert, and then there's the thing called page number right here. Go like that. And there you go. Now the other thing you want to remember is that the font should be in Times New Roman, and there we go, regular, and it should be 12 points, so I'm set up good all there. So now I got my header done. I'm going to double click to go back into my report. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my font to Times New Roman 12 right away. And now let's go take a look back at our example. So in our example from week 11, you have to put your first and last name, the teacher's name, the course name, and then the current date and element military format. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. I'm going to write my full name here. Now something that's kind of different here is if you have your settings set to right here and you haven't done anything more, what happens is Microsoft Word, and this is what I was talking about with the double space that you probably don't know about. Microsoft Word, what it does is, I've actually changed my settings so it doesn't do that anymore, but I'll show you how yours is set up. It's likely set up like this, okay? Okay, where it actually gives a little extra space every time you press return. And you know what, I think it's actually set up, if you were to look into format paragraph, I think it's actually 10 if I remember correctly. What it essentially assumes is that every time you press enter, that you want it to do a double space. So students will often, when they're doing this and they're thinking double space, they'll end up going like this, and it'll be like way too much. Here's the safest way to avoid that, is right at the beginning, click this, no spacing, and it won't do that automatic little gap there that I was showing you, okay? So what it'll do is it'll only manually do a double space if you tell it to, okay? So now that it's on no spacing, you could just simply press enter twice every single time, or what you could do, there's literally so many ways to set the settings, is you could just go into format paragraph, make sure this before and after is at 0, then just go to line spacing and go to double. What this before and after is if you think about, so 12 point is the size of this font right here, okay? So what it's saying is before you type a paragraph, because I'm in my paragraph spacing right here, before you type a paragraph, it can give a little like 6 point space above the paragraph, and you can kind of see how this changes down here. A 12, see how my name keeps dropping down because it keeps giving a bigger and a bigger space. And that's essentially what it'll do every time you press return. There'll be a, whatever you set it to, there'll be that space before the paragraph. And then for after, okay, it's the same thing, but so here's how it would look with single. And it would do, if you had a 12 point, it would essentially do a double space. So there's multiple ways to do it. What I'm going to do here, I hope I didn't confuse you too much, is 0 point, 0 point, line spacing, double. That definitely works, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to press enter, type my name, today's date. Oh, it's the 27th. I did this on the 26th, but like I said, I forgot to do the audio, so it happens. Oh well. So I got this all set, so I'm going to go back and look. I'm good to go. How to write a report. So that's the title. So in this case, the title is the Mr. Amazon Jeff Bezos. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. One thing to note is, remember, after a colon, those two dots, you always do a 2 spaces. So I pressed spacebar twice before I started typing. The only time you don't put 2 spaces after a colon is if you are writing a time, like for instance 10:20. Okay. All right. Now I got my title. Double space. Go over here. And I can start typing my paragraph. It says Jeffrey Bezos, founder of the popular online shopping website, Amazon.com. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change this to left alignment. I have to remember, I know I have to indent. If I look right here, I indent. So I'm going to go Jeffrey Bezos, founder of the online, let's see what it say exactly, founder of the popular online shopping website. Amazon.com, is known as a true American entrepreneur. Born on January 12th, 1964. And I'm going to actually stop right there. So I don't think you need to sit there and watch me type the whole paragraph here. But some things to note is I have a note in here letting you know that this is a section header. So after you type this paragraph, you're going to go to early beginnings, and remember, you want to make your section header look like this. So you just bold it, and then type your next paragraph and note where there's other section headers. Okay, the other main thing that I really want to show you in this e-session is how to do the references. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to demonstrate that. So there's 2 references for this report. Anytime you're typing a MLA report, you want where you start your references is wherever your report ends, you press enter until you're all the way on a new page, and then you start your references or your works cited. So I'm going to act like that this is the end of my report, even though it's not. I'm going to press enter all the way to page 2, and I want to make sure I'm at the top of page 2. You can see my page number came up. Now I'm on burden 2. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to look. So they say references. Let's see if I can change my screen around so I don't have to quick step, keep going back and forth like this. Make it a little easier. There we go. That's much better. Should have thought of that earlier. References, enter. And references are left aligned. All right, so I have it set up like this, right? So I got it all. I typed my reference in here. If I go back and I look at my example here, scroll down, you can see this is how my uh, it is double space and everything, which is what I want. The one thing that it doesn't have though is when you're doing a same reference, the second and third line, like for instance for the second reference right here, it actually has a third line. The first line is not indented, but if it goes to a second or a third or a fourth or a fifth, every line after that is indented. And the reason for that is it's really easy for the reader to kind of scan through and look at this and see when one reference ends and a new one begins. Like because you see this indent right here, you know that's part of the first reference still. But you see this, indented right here, you know it goes with this reference right here. So I'm going to show you how to do that in Microsoft Word. So what you're going to do is you're going to highlight this. What you want to do is it's this up here, okay? There's the first line indent, the left indent, okay? And then there's the hanging indent. I don't know if I can get that to pop up, but that's okay. So the first line indent right here is what it sounds like. And that's this top triangle, and that's why it's on the top. So the top one, okay, if you click and drag, it will drag the first line to wherever you want it to, but that's not actually what we want to do. What we want to do is we only want to do the left indent, which would grab the second or the third line, and you go ahead and you just simply go like that, okay? And if there was a third line, and I'll put a third line here, see, it automatically goes and it does that. But as soon as I press enter, okay, it knows I want to start a new paragraph, and it goes back to the first line. I would just want to give you an example of what this bottom part does right here, okay? What this bottom part does is it would grab both of them, okay, and move the first line indent and the left indent at once. But that's not what we want. We just need to grab the second one and go like that. So once you have everything typed up, don't forget there's two references, so I'm not going to retype it because I just showed you how to do everything. Once you are all set, you just go ahead and go into that checklist, make sure that you have everything and good to go. Then you can go ahead and submit, and I would love to see lots and lots of advanced on here. So I hope this video was helpful, and good luck on the MLA Report Summative. Have a good week. Thanks.